Every conversation that I have with SBC, I've got millions and millions and millions of lines of text of conversations I've had with SBC.
Well, a bunch of us in Indiana actually did complain to the Regulatory Commission in Indiana. I can't remember what the name of it is. And the result was they smacked them with a $100,000 fine.
Yeah, well, and this
So
is
what?
there's
Okay, that was an hour and a half worth of retail. Okay, that's not a big deal.
Them to pay the $100,000 fine. And
That's the key.
That's a point. That's a great point.
We bring that up all the time on the Hill.
They have more money. SBC, if you listen to SBC's lobbyists in Congress and in the Hill, you will hear them crying that we cannot make any money. It takes so much for us to maintain this legacy copper infrastructure. We can't make any money. Yet they're setting aside $200 million a year specifically to pay
Lobby.
legal costs and fees that they know that they're going to break the laws, and they know they're going to have to pay these fines. And they will knowingly go ahead and do that. The pair swapping game, we get that all the time. We get people that come in, we go into a building, there's 5 or 6 people that have DSL in the building, and all of a sudden you got some idiot tech in there with a butt set going, oh, I don't hear anything on this line, there's no dial tone. And they'll go ahead and just take the pair. I mean, it's absolutely ludicrous. I mean, I can tell you alone that in my building, we refuse to sell SBC services in our building anymore. I am upstairs from a CLAC. I'm upstairs 2 floors above XO that has a central office downstairs from me. There's no way in hell if I can go onto an OC192 that's in a 911 facility that I'm going to go and use 1947 paraffin wrapped cable from SBC to deliver services to my customers. And when I called SBC, 57 hours on the phone saying, we would like you to replace the riser cable. They said, well, when the new building owner took over, it was his responsibility. It's not our responsibility anymore. Yeah, but it's your DMARC. Well, it's not our responsibility, it's riser cable. Yeah, but it's your DMARC. It's your boxes in our facility. We don't care. Okay, screw off. That's essentially what they pretty much tell us. They tell us, go away. So as a result, we've basically moved all of our customers off of SBC facilities. We have two SBC T1s that come into our facility, and the other 50 or 60 are XO, and there's a bunch of others that are ICG and WorldCom. We refuse to sell services on SBC's network unless we absolutely have no choice, which with DSL we do. So, I mean, one of the things that sort of getting off topic here, again, ranting a bit, one of the things that I told Froggy that I would talk about is how ludicrous it is to expect that any independent ISP could ever make $1 selling DSL through the carrier's networks. Okay? Now, with dial-up, you had the opportunity to buy lines, and under the Fax Act or whatever that was, which they're trying to take away so you can't make data calls on your phone line anymore.
It's called computer too.
Yeah. Under that scenario, we were able to basically have a ratio of dial-up lines, 10 to 1, 15 to 1, 20 to 1 if we're selling really cheap internet access, and we would allow consumers to dial in and access the internet. Very set lines, okay? When we do DSL, you've got to be less than 20,000 feet from the central office, depending, well, with the old technology. With new technology, maybe 30,000 feet if they really want to push it. Well, so that means that the bells have to actually build out facilities into manholes and these little bunkers on people's lawns where they're putting D-slams to consolidate within a 30,000 square foot radius to provide DSL. Granted, that takes money to build out, but you're already paying for that in your taxes for your phone bill. So, of course, they cry and did the whole thing with Lucent, and they said we're going to deliver broadband everywhere. They claimed that by 2006 they would have 98% of SBC's market covered with DSL. You know what the penetration is now? Anybody have a guess?
30, 40, 20, 10,
17.
Keep going.
2, less than
Last I heard was 6%.
Oh my God.
6%.
They've got 20. I've got a database when I was doing DSL as a wholesale with SBC. They give me a database with 27 million eligible lines for their higher speed DSL, not just their bumper crop, but their higher speed. 27 million lines. As of last quarter, they only have 6.5 million lines sold out of 27 million.
After 6 years?
After 6 years. Okay.
So how do you deregulate that instead of...
Well, we're not really deregulating. We're still regulating, but it's kind of a laissez-faire. We're just keeping our hands off because...
And at that point, the only solution is to string your own damn copper.
Well, that brings up a very interesting
You're
conversation.
talking about, okay, everybody's heard about the Muni Act. Everybody's talking about municipalities wanting getting in the game because they can't get SBC off their butt, Verizon off their butt to do anything. But in the meantime, if your town, like your local town, would like to get their own municipality, pull in a line, and start using their own rights of way, I'll be damned if SBC, Verizon, or Qwest, or Bell South, they're sitting there with their lawyers saying, screw you, you can't have it, we're going to take you to court, and we're going to beat you down.
They've actually gone and in several states made it illegal. They've been able to get laws passed that make it illegal for a municipality to run its own telecommunications infrastructure. Indiana.
And I think they've done that statewide in at least three or four states already have laws on the books that says these municipalities cannot start their own network.
But the bottom line is the telephone companies don't care about the internet. That doesn't make any money. They don't know how to make money on it. If they did, I as an ISP wouldn't have been around. I was using their infrastructure. They could have just given dial-up away between 1996 and 2002. They could have gave dial-up away and killed all of us. I wouldn't have had 52,000 end users. I wouldn't have been a pretty mid-level ISP. But they didn't want it. They didn't want it. All they cared about is when the 96 Bill Act was enacted and they lost long distance, everything was split up, there was the intrinsic thing was going on that they knew they had sunsets built into it. If you had a chance to read, it's about 348 pages long. If you had a chance to read it, which I have somewhere about 40 or 45 times already, and that's just over the last year, there was sunsets built into that law in the 96 bill. It looked great on paper, and it still works, only if the FCC, the Federal Communications Company, would have done their job in doing enforcement of it, okay? And we stood as consumers, again, we sitting up here as consumers. My goal is with the WBIA is with ISPs, for 5 years, I've been trying to wake them up. But the problem with some of my friends and peers in it is they're kind of idiots, okay? Yeah. And I tell it to them right to their face. I don't cut anything long, but they're afraid to tell you, the consumer, that they're in trouble. But if you knew your favorite, who hates to switch email addresses? Who hates it? 99.8%. I'm in the marketing business. And I'll tell you one thing. When I gave up my ISP because of a partner and some legal issues, things of that nature, I had 52,000 end users, 350,000 mailboxes. I gave my and I had two of my suppliers go underneath because they went out of business. But I gave up the dial-up business. I gave my people 90 days. Guys, I can't do this anymore. We can't bring you to DSL. We got people going belly under, left and right. We got DOMCON crash. You know what the number one thing is? What do I do with my email? I've been with you for 4 years. I says, for $10 a year, I'll keep it on my box. And that's what I did. I've got 2 or 3 boxes sitting in Fayetteville, Carolina, is doing, 160, 170,000 email boxes. Only about 10% of them are being used. But damn it, they got their email. They didn't lose it. They had it. They didn't want to go to SBC. I do an affiliate. I run a company that they outsource me as their CFO, secretary, treasurer. I run data operations. We do affiliate marketing. People call us all day long. It's, oh yeah, we'd like to get the SBC DSL, but why do I have to get their email? Email is the killer app. Email is the thing that people hate to change, as far as that's concerned. So we have to look at what we're losing, because you know what? All they want, they're going after the cable companies now. The box are going after the cable companies. And now they want a piece of the TV action. It's not going to happen. The cable companies have got 30 years on it, the TV people.
They want to be, they want everything out of the internet now. Now that they see that, hey, people are actually using this internet, and we want all sorts of action.
Well, you mentioned email, and so I've already talked to Greg about my complaint about exactly what you're talking about. I recently switched ISPs. And my new ISP thought I was insane not to want to just use their email. Use my existing email account. And I've talked to Greg about reasons for the ISP blocking various traffic, things like that, which I understand. As guys running ISPs, what is your perspective on my issue was, I already have my own email. I want to be able to send SMTP over standard ports to that server. Mm-hmm. I understood the filtering reasons for that. Should I, as a consumer, and I read through every last bit of any documentation that they had as far as what I agreed to with my service, which Incidentally, I found a whole contract on their website that supposedly I agreed to, but I never signed. They never presented it to me when they came and looked at my cable or at any other point.
Use of the system.
Yes, just to the system.
But basically, do I have, I mean, when I got them on the phone, they basically told me, we have no requirement to tell you what ports we're blocking, you know,
Th-
or to unblock them.
there's-
Unless you give us a bucket of money for a static IP.
Right, there's
a bucket of
no-
money for more.
That
I have
this
the recourse there.
That's the
this
net
is
neutrality.
Exactly. This is the net neutrality issue. This is the issue that is right now the big hot button and what we're discussing. The issue being that nobody, I mean, look, I have resisted as an ISP, I have resisted blocking ports for my consumers as much as possible. But I have basically spam and virus and malware has forced me to be into the position where I have to block outbound SMTP for certain blocks of users. Okay, grandma sitting in rural Ravenna does not understand that the porno message she just downloaded and clicked on is now sending out 6 million messages an hour through mail servers.
I understand the default denied policy, but my complaint is, should I not as a consumer, I feel like I bought a pipe, shouldn't I be able to
Well,
have that open?
I would advocate that your position is correct, that they should let you know this is what you're not allowed to do on our service. However, their position is you're a parasite on our network and we want to charge you more for business class services. This net neutrality issue and the fact that you're going to start now, if you want advanced services, you're going to have to pay for them.
Well, and you know that's one problem. You have one particular instance of a problem service where you're talking about your email, but some people actually use voice over IP, Vonage services. It's pretty big, and in that same example is what they're saying. Hey, we don't promise that what you got on the internet should work. We basically, if you want that to work the way you want it to work, for whatever reason, then you pay more.
What's this true when you get into the tier internet? Yeah.
Or just the nature of packet switching.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
There are definitely issues with delivery of voice over IP over the public internet. You're not going to get anybody up here
Absolutely.
telling you that it's
But
not.
and-
But
yeah, go ahead.
intentionally screwing around with your packets, introducing jitter and delay, and basically blocking specific ports. I mean, there was just
I've heard of that. I've heard like some cable companies want to run their own VoIP service,
Sure.
and they want to start blocking.
there you go.
Absolutely. And
Now, if they're up front and telling you that, then
And
you
you
as a
decide-
consumer
yeah.
say yes or no. It's when they don't tell you where it's not fair.
Or it's buried so far deep in the
into it.
information, as Chris has pointed
Acceptable
out.
use policies. If you go to any kind of service policies, you got to look at terms of service, acceptable use policies, and they're starting to bury it in the ever familiar privacy policy.
Right.
You'd be surprised how much stuff is stuck in the policy.
1984.
Okay, type of stuff.
Well, it's like TOS bits for your quality of service. There's no guarantee that your ISP has to forward those on.
Right.
But Comcast specifically, I believe, was basically dropping those and changing them around so that they would basically.
And then they would tell you a service upgrade, they would stop doing that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, look, there's a bunch of issues going on right now, and Vonage for all of the innovation that they've done as far as bringing VoIP to the consumer level, I think is a dead man walking, because voice over the public internet, it's really not that great of an idea if you need to rely on it. It works most of the time, but you can't guarantee. I mean, when you have a circuit switch network like the PSTN, point A to point B, you are going to get 64 kilobits of data, and it's going to be guaranteed, and there's no other contention for any other service on that line. Once you get out onto Cox's network or Comcast network or Cogent's network or any of the other networks, you're basically at a packet switch network. There's no guarantee that one packet isn't going to take 30 seconds to go halfway across the universe and back to get to your neighbor, and then the next packet will go right there from their router. I mean, there is no control over that with TCP/IP. So voice over IP, gets into a whole other discussion, but voice over IP, I believe, is inherently a very good thing. It's a great thing for consumers. Voice over the public internet is not such a great thing. So we're down to about 3 minutes?
Yeah.
3 minutes. All right, so questions?
Is it have you guys thought about doing things like cutting the AT&T out and just like get a T1 or whatever between your ISP and his ISP?
Public peering. There was
Public
somebody
peering.
that had a